Council services could suffer due to social care costs if the government creates super councils. We're going to read into this more from Sky News, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from Sky News with a headline that council services could suffer due to social care costs if the government creates super councils. Local councils have been in talks with the government about how they operate, with sources saying that they could be reorganised to group smaller councils together. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share this across social media so others are notified of this video. So I want to stress that this is what sources could say. Now, in this piece, the department on this deny that this is going to be happening, and we'll read that in a moment. But obviously there does need to be fundamental changes, because the problem is that I know people don't like the term reform. I know that people don't like things to change, but unfortunately the reality is that, for example, the councils just will not have the same money that they used to have. You can't go back to where it was 14 years ago. The funding that they used to have from the European Union is just not going to be there. It's gone now. We've left Brexit and whatnot, so that they have less money, and they've been stripped to the bone by austerity. And as much as I would love to say to Labour, please put back all the money that the Conservatives took away, considering the financial issue, they just can't simply do that. But they should be providing some funding towards councils to a certain extent, because they do need more funding. That is something that definitely needs to happen. And if we're talking about social care, that's a very big one, of course, and it is something that needs to be addressed. But it also, as I'm sure many of you know, needs to be taken hand in hand with our national healthcare service, particularly here in England, where it is really suffering as of right now. My concerns about these reforms is obviously of how much of an impact it could have on services in local areas if they do decide to change these, change the system that we have, and that's if they decide to change the system that they have. Because if people find that their services, or that when it comes to some of the basic necessities of buses running on time, rubbish bins being collected and whatnot, they find that simple basic services that are run by local councils aren't running as much as or efficiently as they used to, people will be well aware of that, and they will obviously point the finger at governments for that. Or they may point the fingers at local councils, but these small little things can waffle into a problem. And especially if the right-wing press get their hands on it, they will make a song and dance about anything to criticise the Labour government, even if it is the tiniest of things. And I think that could prove to be problematic for Labour in 4 years' time, dependently. But this is not something that they're definitely doing, but this is something that they are definitely talking about. And I think it is worth us having a conversation about whether or not local councils should change the way it should be reformed, or should be merged with other councils instead. And I do think there should be some conversation about it. I think there should be conversations, but I'm not so sure about these reforms, if I'm honest. So council services such as leisure centres and waste collection could suffer due to the cost of social care if the government goes ahead with its plans to scrap district councils in favour of super councils, local government sources have claimed. This is what local government sources have claimed. This is not what actually is happening, for the record. It may change. The position may change later on this. They told Sky News the government is considering getting rid of district councils, which are responsible for waste collection, housing, leisure centre, local economics and regeneration. District councils are also called borough or city councils, along with larger county councils, would be merged to make super councils, or utility councils, covering an entire region, the sources say. The changes are expected in the English devolution white paper, set to be published soon. After the Chancellor Rachel Reeves said in her October budget she wanted to make sure council structure simpler by reorganising them. It's easy to say into words, but what do you mean by simpler? Like, how do you define that exactly? However, there are concerns that the rising costs of social care, which larger councils and unitary councils have to legally fund, will pull funding away from the basic service, but essential service district councils provide. There is also a worry that these large councils will become detached from local communities, despite Mrs. Reeves saying that she wanted the reorganisation of council structure to meet the needs of local people. Now, if you do take local councils away, there is that risk of possibility that that could very much happen, that you could end up detaching people from communities, especially if they don't have that local council that they used to go to. Now, I'm not saying that super councils wouldn't have somebody in those areas representing them, but it would be quite a dramatic shift in what people are used to having, that is for sure. Bridget Smith, the Lib Dem leader of South Cambridgeshire District Council and Vice Chair of the District Council Network, the DCN, told Sky News utility and county councils are struggling financially, and in many cases going under because of the ever-increasing demands of social care. It will be no different for these proposed super councils. The danger in social care will suck up all the resources which districts currently spend on place-making, economic development, preventing ill health, improving quality of life, and so much more. She added that simply reorganising local governments is simplistic and naive and will cause new problems for local communities and for the government's housing targets, as district councils are responsible for housing. They're also concerned if councils were merged, it would take about 3 years to convene, which would take up all a council's time, potentially bringing a project to a halt, including house building. Sarah Chapman Allen, chair of the DCN and leader of Beckland District Council in Norfolk, said there are examples across England where devolution, handling power and funding from national to local government, is working well, such as Manchester, when 10 district councils work together under the mayor of Greater Manchester. Smaller examples including South Lincolnshire, where 3 councils work together with a shared senior team. I wouldn't mind my members are nervous about change because they are really nimble, agile organisations, but we want to work with government to get the best outcomes for their residents and businesses, he told Sky News. He said district councils also provide a lot of preventable, non-traditional social care schemes off their own backs, such as supporting people to live a healthy life, which means that they take pressure off traditional social care systems. The Conservative Shadow Housing Community and Local Government Secretary Kevin Hollerach told Sky News, service has to come first. So if you want to make sure that they're maintained and improve social care, and of course it's the biggest part of the discretionary budget, it's a valid concern. On the face, they are saving money from 2-tier to 1-tier, but you don't want the council or councillors to become too removed from what they're serving. The worry here is that this is an imposition rather than asking councillors if they want to move to utility, rather than top down rather than bottom up. It's preserved. You're talking about devolution and then telling councils what to do. It's a bit of a paradox. So Louise Glitton, the chair of the Local Government Association, which represents all English councils, has said, "We want every area of England to be able to serve a devolution deal that works for them, their local economics and their residents. Council leaders are key to local decision making and must be an integral part of the democratic framework, whatever arrangements are put in place by government. We are also of the view that local government reorganisation is a matter for local areas to decide." And the spokesperson for the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government said there are no plans to abolish councils, and any organisations will be from the bottom up. So right here, a spokesperson has said there's no plans whatsoever. He added, no decisions have been taken on council reorganisation. Our priority is to focus on the transfer of power from Westminster and work with councils to create structures that make sense for the local areas and work efficiently for local people. We've announced £1.3 billion to help councils deliver essential services, including an additional £233 million to help prevent homelessness. We will provide greater stability with multi-year funding settlements so we can get councils back on their feet. We will set out further details in the upcoming English Devolution White Paper. So, obviously, at the time of this recording, I haven't seen the English White Paper, but it may come out by the time we see this video, possibly. But what I will say is, I think they've obviously said that the spokesman has said that there's no plans. There's been no plans to abolish district councils. So there are government sources. There are sources that are saying that they are in favour of scrapping them. So whatever those sources are, either there is serious contention about them, or the spokesperson is lying about it. So it's one of those two there. And I think it should be taken on a case-by-case basis of different areas, of whether I think it should be something that they could experiment with, But I don't think I'm not sure if there's something that I want enforced upon if they do decide to do that. If they do decide to have this so-called super council, I think the main thing is that if they can improve the cooperation between themselves and other local councils and continuing to improve that, and obviously if funding is available, as they said, they can provide funding, help them find the best ways of helping people on their feet, and working at the bottom from the bottom up will definitely make a massive difference to people's lives. But obviously everyone is kicking and screaming for more funding, and the government can't necessarily hand out everything that everybody wants to people as well. So these reforms, whatever they may be, they may prove to be questionable, that is for sure. But my hope is that people still have their representatives that they need to have if need be. That is what I'm hoping anyway. So guys, what do you think about council service? What do you think about the social care situation? Do you think this idea of super council sounds like a good idea? Maybe some of you might be watching who are pretty much well in contact with your local councils and whatnot, and maybe you'll perhaps firmly disagree with this proposal or idea that they have denied initially. Let me know your thoughts about all this and more down in the comment section below. If you found this video informative, please hit the like button. Greatly appreciate it. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing because it really does help support the channel. If you want to go one step further, financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.